What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to episode 13 of the League Trauma Podcast. Today, we talk snowboarding, plyometrics, and everything in between with the one and only Kailey Lewis. Kailey is a personal trainer and the founder of Snow Functional, a performance training company dedicated to optimizing athletic performance while minimizing the risk of injury in snowboarders. Kailey started her Instagram account less than a year ago and has been able to grow her brand through unique marketing strategies. And in today's episode, we get to learn a little bit about Kailey's journey and what Snow Functional means to her. We've been grateful for this opportunity to collaborate with her for this episode, and we hope you guys enjoy.
So my name's Kailey. I am a personal trainer and I specialize specifically in snowboarding. I myself do a lot more like freestyle snowboarding, but really all kinds of snowboarding. I used to compete a little bit more in the freestyle realm, but definitely dabbled in like both. And my like actual background in terms of schooling is I went to school to be a engineer. So I work actually like my day job is a biomedical engineer, and then this is like my side business for now that will hopefully be my full business. But yeah, I have an Instagram page where I just basically, I mean, there a lot of sports, as I'm sure you guys know, like I mean, football as a main one. Most of those people work out. Like they know, okay, I'm gonna be good at football. I gotta work out. I have to like be strong, explosive, blah blah blah. And that's not a thing in snowboarding. Most snowboarders like reject that notion. And it's just not part of the community. And it's kind of, I mean, it started from skateboarding, which has always just been kind of like a counter culture type of thing. So I'm just trying to bring awareness to the fact that snowboarding, while most people would say it's more of an art than a sport, is still like requires athletic ability. And personally for me, when I don't have natural ability at it, I'm not naturally gonna just become a pro. So it took a lot of like off snow training for me to be able to progress. So I want to bring that awareness to other people, and especially just people that get older and want to still snowboard. It's such a big thing for people to be like, oh, I'm 25, I'm too old, can't do it anymore. And I'm like, that's not true. So yeah, just trying to bring awareness to all that and help people train if that's what they want to do.
Very cool. So I apologize in advance. I don't know too much about snowboarding. I don't know if John Allen has any background in snowboarding at all, but we'd love to learn a lot more about it. So my first question is just like, what's the season like? Did you say you're in Arizona now? So like, how does the season work for snowboarding? Is it like, is there an off season and on season? Like, or is it just certain areas that I don't know anything about that? So if you could talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So there's totally an off season and on season. A lot of people are super dedicated travel to have like full season, because obviously like Australia is opposite of us, places in South America are opposite of us. So you technically could go travel one of those places and get snow year round, but the off season is obviously winter. So yes, I'm in Arizona, but I'm in northern Arizona, which a lot of people don't know has snow and is cold. So we're situated up at 7,000 feet elevation, which is higher than most places in Colorado. And yeah, we get snow starting usually in about November and ends somewhere in about March for the most part. And then we're lucky that usually we get a lot of snowmaking up here. So our season lasts from sometimes into May.
Yep.
So but normally like a late November, early April is like a typical season. And then the off season would be summer. So a lot of snowboarders, like myself included, are also like big into mountain biking and hiking and like all those outdoorsy types of activities. So I like to help people train year round for those kinds of things, but the off season will definitely be more of like bodybuilding type stuff. In season training will be a lot more like explosive, power building, reactivity, stuff like that.
Cool. Thank you.
So my question is that you mentioned you're big on strength training. So how do you approach the conversation with someone that is a snowboarder that doesn't want to be like doesn't think they need that strength background and that strength kind of like yeah, just like strength in general for snowboarding?
Yeah, so a lot of people don't realize that strength training is mobility training if you're doing it in the way that I would promote it for a snowboarder. People hear the word strength training and they think like bodybuilding, CrossFit, stuff like that. And that's an aspect of it, but it's not all of it. And so a lot of times snowboarders are like, oh, I'm not flexible. I need to improve my mobility. I can't do this. I can't do that. And so they think like, I just need to stretch. And I'm like, well, Sure, whatever you want to do, but there's an aspect of strength training to that. So I normally approach it in that way, and that where full range of motion training is going to be a lot more beneficial to you, in terms of like also gaining that mobility and having that strength and that end range of motion, which is what's going to allow a snowboarder to do like a grab and like touch their board in the air or like land really soft and like things like that, which is typically what they're trying to achieve when they say like I'm not flexible, I need mobility. And so when you explain it that way, they're like, oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I know a lot of my friends, like back in high school, would go snowboarding and they wouldn't do any strength training. And they seem to always end their season with an injury, a serious
Yep.
injury. And it's like I just can relate so much, like through them, through their lens, is like they just didn't take it serious at all. They were doing it, like you said, for leisure and probably some alcohol or some other
Oh yeah.
stuff involved. So I just, if you can like maybe just talk about a little bit about that and how you kind of engage, navigate those kind of conversations also.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is part of the culture to party a little bit, and I'm not going to deny that. And I'm also not going to deny that I'm not a part of that part of the culture. So, what I do like to say though is obviously what you mentioned, a lot of people do get injured. Being injured, getting injured is like the most common thing in snowboarding, and you can't ever fully prevent injury. Like it's just impossible. But being able to protect yourself with more muscle, more strength in your range of motion, more stability, all those kinds of things, because the snow is unpredictable. Other people you're around are unpredictable. The amount of times I've gotten hit, just stuff like that. So being able to have like a resilient body is going to help prevent you from getting injured for things like that. Um, and usually I approach it in a terms of like your training doesn't need to be an hour and a half, 2 hours in the gym of like super heavy weight strength training because like most people don't want to do that and they don't care. I try to find like the fun parts in training. Like most people haven't done stability training, which is a huge aspect of injury prevention. And so I'm like, can you even jump on one foot and land and like hold it? And most people can't. So like trying to train new things that they've never done before, like brings in more of the fun aspect and keeping it under an hour. They're like, yeah, that's doable. And so it truly just comes down to how bad do you want it? And most people that are aging are like, yeah, I really enjoy this. I have no desire to go pro, but like they get scared. Like fear is a huge thing in snowboarding, as I'm sure it is in a lot of other sports, but this is definitely the most fear I've ever experienced in any sport I've done. And so with that aspect of fear and holding you back from trying new things, it's really easy to just stop doing things or do things incorrectly because you're scared. And so bringing that aspect off snow and like training your body to like, oh, I can land this or I can like jump and land a 180 off the snow, it automatically brings in a little bit more confidence, makes them more likely to do it on the snow, which leads to greater progression. And then they see the result in what they're doing. It comes down to like their result usually isn't I don't want to get bigger, I don't care if I like look more muscular. The result is can I still snowboard? And so when you can kind of connect the two, that usually brings that a little bit more together.
Awesome.
Given that you're, I guess you said you have an engineer background, where did you find the importance of like strength training in general? Like, did you experience injuries in the past and then went through therapy and then maybe realized like, okay, I need to be stronger and then I need to preach and pass this along to other individuals? Like, where did that all start for you?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I started engineering's not totally connected to it, but I definitely have been injured before. Pre-learning to snowboard, I rode horses competitively, so was injured multiple times through that. And then coming into snowboarding, I went to the gym, like I've always been into the gym, like grew up in like a more like healthy living family, but I would say in college was the first time I like ever really dabbled with lifting weights and doing anything like that. So obviously did it completely wrong, more bodybuilding style. Never really connected it into snowboarding. And at the beginning of my third season snowboarding, I broke my collarbone. I like basically cartwheeled onto a metal rail. So that was sick.
Mhm.
And snapped that in half and got super scared. Obviously was injured, completely cut my season. And rehab that. I didn't get surgery. I didn't really do PT. I went to an ortho surgeon. They gave me like a few things like wall walks and spins and whatever. And because I had a background in fitness, I like from there started like learning how like okay, can I still do a pull up with a broken collar? Obviously after healing it, but like where was my strength at? And so then when I got back into the season, because that happened like February, so then fast forward into like November, I started snowboarding again, terrified to go into the park, just didn't really want to try anything, and ended up kind of like not hating snowboarding, but kind of like, I don't really want to go. Like, it is what it is, because I couldn't do the things I wanted to do. I felt like I couldn't progress. And I'm just the type of person where I was like, if I'm not progressing, I don't want to do it. I don't want to like just be complacent in something.
Yeah.
And so went through that whole season, barely did anything, and was just like, okay, this kind of sucks. Like, I need to figure out where to go from here. So I went to a summer camp actually with he's a snowboard coach, but really big on Instagram, YouTube, and stuff. And met him and had him like train me specifically on the board, not like in any sort of fitness realm. But in doing that, I realized like I can't do a full squat on my board. I have no ankle dorsiflexion. Like I'm landing super hunched over my back, hinging at my hips, not at my knees. So like a lot of biomechanical errors that I didn't realize I was doing. And so from that day forward, it was in the off season. I started off season training, trying to like learn as much as I could and like get myself better. Like, how do I gain ankle dorsiflexion the right way? How do I have full range of motion and can actually like hold it? All that kind of stuff. Started learning plyometrics and all of that. And that made a massive difference. And I ended up moving away like from Arizona. And so I was a lot like farther away from snowboarding. So I didn't get to snowboard as much that next season, but I progressed more that season that I had in like 4 years after doing all of those things. And I like gained so much more confidence and was a lot more likely to try things. And so it made a massive difference to me. And I was like, all right, this is it. Like this made a huge difference. And it's something I think a lot of people would benefit from.
Absolutely. And obviously, like your mindset has shifted from the beginning of that. So, like, I guess my next follow-up question would be if somebody was thinking about starting snowboarding or getting, I don't know, just trying it out for the first time, would you recommend them having this strength training aspect of it first prior to going out there? Or do you say, or would you say maybe they should try it out, see if it's for them, and if they're like, okay, yeah, they actually like it, then they should start to strength train? Like, how would you approach that if somebody's just curious about the sport?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think everyone can benefit from strength training, right? And the way that I do it is a lot more like athletic based training. And so I think that's super beneficial for people, whether they do a sport, are interested in doing a sport or not, because it'll just carry them into old age, and just being able to like walk up the stairs when they're 80, things like that. So I would say it's super great for anyone, regardless. I do think that having those kinds of things will benefit them a lot in terms of snowboarding. And the reason why I say that is I'm not a snowboard coach by any means, but I do like help my friends learn and stuff. And I've had multiple people that I've taught, my sister included, who's a volleyball player, and she picked it up day one. I had another friend who was a like college athlete, I think in like cross country or something like that. Picked it up day one. And I've trained other people that don't really do athletic things, much more engineers in the sense that computer and sitting at home is a lot more of their life, couldn't get it at all. So I think a mentality has a big part to play in that. Do you want it? Do you not want it? Obviously, that's going to depict like how much you do, but athletic ability plays a big role in that also. And so if you just have that more natural athletic ability or a training for that, I think it's going to be a lot easier to learn.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Let's transition a little bit to the social media side. So you've been killing it on social media. You're almost at 25,000 followers now, which is awesome. I just want to say congratulations.
Thank you.
What do you think the biggest key to kind of that 25,000 mark has been so far?
Trial and error and just constantly posting, honestly. It sounds stupid, but I started it less than a year ago, I guess coming up on a year in March. And when I first started, I was like, I'm just gonna post every day. Like I just made a point to myself, like I'm just gonna post every day. And like if you scroll down, like those first posts are horrendous and bad lighting and they say nothing, right? But it was getting into that like routine of learning how to post every day and like watching other people and seeing what other people are doing and just like constantly learning and pouring yourself into it. Like for me, obviously, like I was newly a personal trainer. was just learning how to train people, like learning, obviously I knew what worked for me, but how would this translate over to other people? So I was just like trying to pull in as much as I could and at the same time putting content out there. I would say don't be afraid of doing that, especially like you guys are PT students. I'm sure your audience are probably close to PT students. So like even if you're new at something and you're like, I don't really know if I know this, like put out what you do know, take the criticism if people say it's wrong, learn from other people that are better than you, and just keep putting stuff out there. And eventually people are going to either resonate with it or not. And then you'll get better the more you do it too. Like truthfully, it's really just repetitions with everything.
Yeah, you're a great example of kind of that. You don't need to be a doctor to have an impact on the general population. Like I was looking a little bit at your page, and I was also looking at some of the other like snowboarding pages that are doctors and a variety of different fields, and that they call themselves doctors, but you're still like killing it, way more views than them. And I think it's just a testament to just kind of like you said, just resonating with the general public, not making it too complicated, not overwhelming them with like jargon and medical jargon and stuff like that. So yeah, I just wanted to say congratulations and keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to keep it digestible for people, even if it would make a lot more sense if you use bigger medical terms. And then, yeah, I mean, schooling's great. Like, obviously, I went through a lot of school for stuff that I did, that stuff I do as my day job, but like, I didn't really learn much from it until you put hands on what you're doing and you actually try it. And I think that's just how it is with literally everything. You can say you went to school for all these things, but unless you can actually do it, it doesn't really mean much, in my personal opinion.
I guess my next question would be, what's been the most like challenging part of starting this page and in this journey for yourself?
Um, I would say the most challenging part is, well, I guess there's kind of two. Obviously, learning and making sure that what I'm doing is correct and working. It's not necessarily challenging, it's just more time consuming. And like I'm always trying my own programs and making sure like, is this stupid or does this work? And then the other side of it, I would say, is staying consistent and like having more video ideas and getting like the discipline of it to like go out there and film and make sure I'm actually snowboarding and make sure I'm actually working out for myself and preaching what I say I should be doing, and like time management in that sense of consistency with like working two jobs and running a social media page. It's a lot, but it's rewarding.
Absolutely.
Did you ever run into anyone, kind of maybe some of your friends or maybe some of your coworkers or classmates, kind of almost like judge you and kind of not put you down, but kind of like look at you a little different? Like, what are you doing when you're starting off? Like, no one's really watching your page and stuff like that. Do you have any experiences with that? And would you mind talking about that?
Yeah, totally. I mean, like I said, it is counterculture, right? So, my friends are supportive, but they definitely think it's goofy. Like I have a lot of friends that are really great snowboarders and they're like, yeah, I don't need any of this. I'm like, that's totally fine. Then don't do it. Like I'm never gonna tell someone they need to do something if they don't want to slash don't like it. Like if you don't enjoy it, don't do it. So there was like a little bit of that, and obviously like the more you grow on social media, the more haters you're gonna get. I always get the comment of like, just drink a beer, you'll be fine. Like, it's gonna come. It is what it is. But I just brush it off, like if it worked for me and other people are enjoying it, other people like it, like that's what matters. Not everyone's gonna like everything that you're doing, and like that's fine.
Yeah, we run into that sometimes with our sport injuries. We get comments like, "You've never played the sport. What are you talking about? Never make a video again." And it's just like I mean, your comment is making us go viral, so we appreciate it. We're just always very very quick to respond with kindness and just kind of just be like, "All right, like whatever. If that makes you feel better," and that
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
yeah, it doesn't.
Totally. And I mean, like, I'm not the most amazing snowboarder in the world, and I'll never claim to be. I'm not going pro any day soon, any day ever. There's a lot that I need to learn in terms of like confidence and like getting better on the hill too. But I do think that like I do have an expertise in something, and that something can help you if you're open to it. So I think just like for you guys too, if someone's saying like, oh, you've never played this sport, and you're like, no, but that wasn't really the point. I'm not telling you how to play the sport. I'm telling you how to come back from an injury in this sport, and I'm an expert in the biomechanics, and you can break those things down. So yeah, same sort of thing. Just brush it off and be like, I know what I'm doing. Fake
Yeah,
it till you make it.
That's right.
that's right. Now, next question for me. I like to ask this for a lot of our guests. Obviously, at the point where you're at, it takes a lot of discipline to get there. Now, is that discipline something that you acquired later on throughout like college or whatever, or is it something that was just like you were born with, or like where did you get that discipline to be able to do what you do every day?
Yeah, truthfully, I mean, I guess as a background, I am a perfectionist and I've always been a perfectionist, so maybe that plays into it a little bit. But more than anything, when I graduated college with my degree and I moved away and got a real job, I hated my life. I was like, this is miserable. I've never hated anything more. And that's honestly what pushed me to do this. And it was more so less of discipline of like, wow, this is great. And like, not that it isn't great. And I'm learning to love it more and more every day. But like, I never liked social media, if I'm being honest. I was never like, I never had a goal to be on social media or like be that person. It was more so I wanted to find a way out of the situation I was in and enjoy what I was doing. And like I said before, I rode horses competitively and then I snowboarded. And like my whole life, those are very, very expensive sports that don't make you any money. So I was like, how can I survive and like do the things that I enjoy? And I guess today's the day and age that social media can do that for you if you put in the time and the work. And I mean, it's been a lot, and I don't make a lot of money doing any sort of social media stuff. So it's just the grind of like the future of where I could be one day.
Absolutely. And growing up in like riding horses and stuff, is that something that just like was instilled in your family? Is it something that you
No.
and your siblings got involved in? Like how'd you take upon that?
I mean, I've always been an animal lover. I would so much rather just live on a farm and never talk to anyone again, and just have my animals. I had some friends that rode horses and my cousins rode horses, and so kind of got brought into it that way. And I mean, I honestly just started by going out to the local barn and volunteering, just feeding and cleaning stalls and hanging out, brushing them and stuff like that. And eventually convinced my mom to pay for me to take a lesson every now and again. And then just kind of kept bugging until I could keep doing it. And then I started like working at the barn to pay off lessons because like we didn't have the money to like really ride horses. I never had my own or anything like that. So I would just work every single Saturday and Wednesday, and then I'd get like a free lesson out of that and did that literally all throughout high school.
Cool. And you mentioned you moved away. Where, if you don't mind me asking, where'd you grow up? Like what was your hometown like?
Yeah, I grew up in Southern California, so Oceanside, which is like North County, San Diego. So grew up surfing, skating, never snowboarding though. And then when I moved to Arizona, that was for college. And then when I say I moved away, I moved back to California to get a job and then came back here. But in terms of like growing up there, I mean, it was great until about like high school. I definitely don't really vibe with Southern California. It's not exactly my personality. Never really had like a lot of close friends. Definitely more outdoorsy mountain type of person. And where I grew up was very like city and like there was the beach, but that was kind of all you could do. And I never really liked that everything you had to do cost money. You couldn't ever just like go out your back door and like go hiking or anything like that. So when I moved to Flagstaff and it was just like a tiny little town, everyone was close knit, just mountains and trees everywhere. I was like, yeah, this is it.
Very cool.
So what's next for your page? Are you looking for just kind of building that until you do start making money from it? Are you trying to meet other like meet and train professionals, or kind of what's your vision for the future of your Instagram page?
Yeah, so I want to continue growing, but that's not necessarily like a giant goal of mine. I think that just comes with the more I keep doing what I'm doing. I do make a little bit of money. I have a membership out, and so that's what I'm trying to grow right now is that membership platform. So it's like a training platform with a bunch of different programs in it, in season, off season, stuff like that, mobility work, those kinds of things. So that's what I'm trying to grow. I do have some clients in that. And then I also want to branch into the one-on-one space more. I do have two one-on-one clients, but obviously I want to grow that more. So having those two options, because obviously some people can't afford one-on-one training, that's cool. So I still want to be able to help them with a membership that's more affordable. And then those people that are really struggling with like a specific pain issue, post PT type of stuff, I want to like be able to work with them one-on-one and get them to where they want to be. And if that leads me to working with a pro, I would absolutely love to do that. But I'm not like necessarily reaching out to pros. I just want to help the general public and people that had a similar situation to me.
Do you ever see yourself expanding your brand and maybe venturing into maybe another employee, or if it gets to that point, would you be open to that? Or okay,
I would love for someone to run my Instagram. Yeah, that'd be great. Um, yeah, if I could have like an editor of any sort, that's the thing I hate the most is video editing. But yeah, I would love to have like I would love to eventually bring on actual PTs because obviously I'm not one and don't feel like going back to school and going into $200,000 in debt. So I would love to have some PTs that specialize in snowboarding and then they could work with like those more clients in pain. And then my ultimate goal, if I could ever have like a giant angel investor with a lot of money, is there's a thing called Woodward that is basically a giant warehouse of like indoor training for skiing and snowboarding with like foam pits and boards on wheels with like skate ramps and like all this kind of stuff, trampolines. So I want to open my own version of that up here, maybe one day.
we're definitely on the right path. So keep going after. Don't give up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think that's really cool, really exciting goals. And I think obviously I'm biased because I'm a PT student, but I think having a PT on the team could help a lot. Like
100%.
you said, with the pain and things of that nature when they do get injured initially, and then you could keep them in your
Exactly.
brand. But I do have another question about your membership. So, because I do like some training on the side, I have like a vertical jump program. So is your when they sign up for the membership, is this all through a website? Is there like a digital app that members can go to? How have you been able to like set that up and what have you found that has worked for you and what hasn't worked? Because I started a website and I found that like sometimes that can get challenging clicking through a whole bunch of different things. I would love to transition into the app space, but I don't know anything about that. I'm not sure if you do. I would love to hear
Yeah.
your thoughts on that.
Yeah, so when I first started about a year ago, I had a website kind of. It was like through like a Kajabi adjacent type of thing. So it was a website that I could do like a program through basically. So that's how I started, and that wasn't a membership. That was just like a one-off program, probably something similar to your jump program. It was like a 12-week off-season training program. And yeah, it worked. I got good traction on it. It definitely was a good program, but the user interface sucked. I will say that. And I tried my best with it, but yeah, the exercises weren't next to what they were actually doing in the workout. And so it just a lot of
Yeah,
clicking through, not ideal. Um, so when I started my membership, I switched over to the app space, which is the main reason why I don't make a ton of money because it is a lot of money to run per month.
right.
So once I can get more people in there, it'll start gaining actual profit. But right now, kind of just like matching what I spend for the most part. Um, but it is a million times better. I use Everfit. I started with Trainer Eyes, and I think Trainer Eyes is really good for like one-on-one coaching. But in terms of what I wanted to do with the app membership, it didn't have like all the stuff that I wanted. So I used Everfit's like studio aspect of it, which they classify as like Netflix style training. So basically there's multiple programs in there, plus a bunch of like extra one-off videos and exercise videos and nutrition guides and like this whole thing that they can basically just scroll through and be like, I want this today, or I want to start a full program, and they can go through the full program. They can pause and restart at any time and just kind of like grab whatever they want. And I thought that that's definitely the best in terms of just like a training membership. I've bought stuff like that from people before and really enjoyed it. So I thought that that would definitely be ideal.
Really cool. You said Everfit?
Everfit, yeah. But you can also do one-on-one training on Everfit too. So, and if you're just doing the one-on-one training aspect of it, it's definitely significantly cheaper.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right, so we got just under 10 minutes now. Do you have any questions for us at this point?
Yeah, I'd love to know like what brought each of you into the PT realm? Like what made you want to go into PT?
Yeah, I could start first. So my experience it's not too unique. I've always been an athlete, and that's what I thought physical therapy was. I thought it was just athletes, and I thought just like more of like an athletic trainer type experience. But then I got into the clinic. I got to see that it was so much more than just athletes. It's just everyone. I mean, from ages from pediatrics to the older adults and just stuff like that. So that was a huge part of it. And then just the ability to communicate with people on a day-to-day basis and just constantly learn, like Josh mentioned earlier, is we're just so driven by learning. And that was in a field that I could learn a ton in and make pretty good money in. So that was something that just combined everything that I was looking for in a job, and I really didn't care how much it cost or how much education it was. I was going to get it done. So that's kind of my
Nice.
story in physical therapy.
Yeah, for me, my first time ever, like I had no idea what physical therapy was because like, I mean, I've been grateful enough to not like have had any serious injuries. Like a lot of my classmates, when they asked like what got you into PT, oh, they had like a significant injury and then they heard about it. But like for me, one of my best friends had like torn his ACL and he was going to PT for his rehab. And one day he was just like, Josh, come on and like check this place out. Like it's pretty cool. Like I think you'd like it. And at this time I'm maybe 10th grade. And so I just come with them and just the atmosphere when I walked in there, I was like, there's no way that like this is a profession. Like this person can like help you move and give you exercises and then like do manual therapy. And there's like sports playing on TV and the energy is just high. Everybody's having a good time. And I was like, if this is a profession, like this is something that I want to do. And then
Yeah.
like going off of that a little bit, like John Allen said, I've always been an athlete, and I feel like I wouldn't be where I'm at or even in undergrad. Like I went to undergrad, played basketball, did track and field, but if it wasn't for movement, I wouldn't be in the position that I was in. So I feel like having the opportunity to get a doctorate in physical therapy and be a quote unquote movement expert is just like something that I had to pursue.
Yeah. Yeah, that's super sick. And since you guys started this in PT school, are you wanting to like finish PT school and move into the online space? I know like online PT is becoming like a much bigger profession just because it's easier and the healthcare system is kind of effed up right now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's definitely something that we thought about and something that we're still considering. Um, as of right now, we're just trying to establish a brand, a community, and just, I don't know, just build our page as much as possible and see like a year and a half from now, we'll both be graduating PT school and then we'll think about like where we want to go with it. But we kind of just want to build that brand, build that community, get as much information out there as we can now, and then see where it takes us. I don't know if John Allen has any thoughts on that or anything
I
else.
personally, I love, like I said, I love the one-on-one, face-to-face interaction. I do love like the social media side, and I could definitely see being some telehealth like involvement with the page. But me personally, like I really am passionate about like in-person care, and I know it does suck, like you said, the insurances definitely make it tough to open up a clinic in person. But I just have such a passion for like communication, so I think that's definitely where I will probably tailor towards and lean towards when I graduate.
Yeah, I think that definitely we can keep our page as a as an online resource for individuals. Like we'll have our jobs that we do, one-on-one care, treating patients, but we want our brand to be somewhere that people can go to and find resources that way. So kind of dabble a little
Yeah.
bit with both of it, but not necessarily
Nice.
the one-on-one telehealth. Yeah.
Last question I have is, do you guys have like a niche that you want to work in once you graduate? Like, is there a specific like type of clientele or I don't know, like body part that you just like really want to work with?
So for me, I would say, I mean, obviously I love athletes and I was a former athlete. I still train athletes with my vertical jump program. But in another sense, like when we go out on our clinical rotations, I got a chance to be in like work on a spinal cord unit in a inpatient rehab. And having that opportunity, it really kind of like just shifted my perspective as in like there's so many like populations that we can treat and see. So like I never want to get away from athletes. That's something that I'm super passionate about. That's something that I love. But like if I have the opportunity to help other people with other needs, I think that's a really cool thing. So I would say I'm not 100% sure like this is what I want to do. I want to go this direction. I'm still open to whatever. And we still have a little less than 2 years left in our schooling. So
You know, I have not had the fortunate ability to be in the hospital yet. It's been crazy. Just COVID, I wasn't able to get any shadowing hours in the hospital, and none of my rotations have been in the hospital. But as of right now, I love outpatient, and that's where I've been in most settings. And I also coach high school sports, so I have a lot of passion for that. And body part specifically, I love the shoulder. I think it's our most dynamic joint in the body, and I think it's under stressed and under loaded in a lot of aspects and a lot of programs. So I think if I were to advocate for any body part and any specific training, I think the shoulder would be a very cool place to get into.
Yeah, that's sick.
Yeah, so up 3 minutes left. Josh, you have any more questions?
I think I'm good over here.
Awesome. Any closing remarks?
Do I have any closing remarks?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I don't know. I would say just whoever is listening, if you want to snowboard or are in snowboarding and constantly getting injured or terrified, definitely hit me up. I'd love to help you and talk to you. And just for a general sense for everyone out there, like get into athletic training, even if it's just one time a week, working on plyometrics, working on jumping, working on explosiveness, power. It's going to do absolutely amazing things both for your body and just your overall health. So highly recommend, and it's fun. Go to the gym and have fun.